months since this and so-named anti-smacking legislation became law. And Jan, we can all recall how extraordinarily divisive it was. I mean, you couldn't move for comment in the papers, broadcast media, what have you. 10 years on, do you think it's worked?
Absolutely. We know from research that fewer parents are striking their kids for discipline, that we know reporting has gone up, which is saying that the norms in our society are changing to protect our children. And we've got a long way to go, but it was a really, really important first step back then.
2014, though, Sue Bradford said she was shocked that 60% was actually, they wanted the anti-smacking law to be abolished. Are people on side with this law, do you reckon?
I think that shift in terms of parents that report that they're striking their kids shows that actually we are getting that cultural change, and it is really important. And, you know, I remember that moment. I came back from overseas to New Zealand, and we were in the middle of that debate, and I'd been working in the slums of India, and I could not believe that our country was tearing ourselves apart over the right to beat our kids.
Huge. Well, New Zealand first, correct me if I'm wrong, you want it repealed.
It's our intention to repeal that bill. I mean,
why? Why go back there, Derek? You're bringing up the past. You don't need to.
Firstly, the legislation doesn't target the people who we want to target. What Jan has just said is that it's stopping people from beating their kids, and this is absolutely not true. We've consistently had the number one child abuse rates in the world. We've had one child every 2 days are in hospital. One child every 5 weeks is dying. This isn't targeting the right
come to you,
people.
Trevor. Let's come to what do you make of this?
I have to come in with Jan here, because actually what we saw prior to this law change was that people who were beating their kids with riding crops and with rubber hoses were able to defend that in court. And that's not okay.
It doesn't change those people.
It doesn't influence the right people.
I'm a mum and I've got 4 kids. And I tell you what, it's a hard job. And I'd like to say I'm a mother who never yells at my children, and I never do any bad parenting. I try my best every day, and sometimes I do yell at them, but that doesn't mean that I think it's okay to smack
Trevor,
my kids.
were you ever smacked as a kid?
Yes, I was.
So it didn't do you?
I was caned regularly at school.
Were you? Didn't do you any harm?
Well, I think those people think it did me a lot of harm.
Right, fair enough. You got me. You got me.
No, I just think the idea that an adult can beat up a kid is something which is absolutely wrong. I'm not pretending that it's the total answer.
Is smacking beating?
That's the point.
It's
the first step. It's a first step, Wallace. When someone hits a kid gently, they can then hit them harder and harder, and it's where they hit them. Trevor. It's better. It's just better not to start.
This is a nonsense. We've had the number of reports of child abuse going up in this country.
That's
Which
really,
is
that's
good.
really
Up in this country.
How
is this? How is this legislation working?
It's
it
like
is not
domestic
targeting
violence.
the right
Reporting
people.
is going up,
We've
and
got-
parental
I know
behaviour
of- I know
Hang
of
on,
another-
let him have a go, and then we'll come back
I
and
know
let him have a
of
go.
a number of cases where you've got children standing in front of their parents and saying, "You can't touch me. I'm going to call the police."
Really?
It's not targeting the right people.
That's just scaremongering.
Oh no,
That's
no,
just
it's not. No, it's
scaremongering,
not. That's a
Derek,
fact.
it is.
It's a fact.
What we have seen, Wallace.
Hang on,
Get off,
Jan.
And for me, this law change, and part of it was giving kids equal rights under our laws to other adults and to animals. Like, that's a fundamental. Our kids deserve the same rights as adults. They deserve to be protected and safe.
Can I just point out one thing, Wallace?
Derek, I'm going to go to Nicola.
Yeah.
Do children really have the same rights as parents?
When it comes to not being hit, yeah, absolutely they do. And I think if you ask most New Zealanders, should children be protected from assault in the same way that adults are, they'd say yes, absolutely.
Is it interfering in families, private lives?
Well, look, the police were actually given a lot of discretion in this law. The compromise that John Key forged with Helen Clark meant that the police are able to show discretion, and they have.
Right, you wanted to say something, Trevor, before we go to the audience.
Well, I just think it's, what sort of country do we want to be? Do we want to be a country that hits its kids, that says that violence is okay, or do we want to be a country that says no?
Derek, I'll come back to you. Hang on, no. I want to go to the audience. Charlotte.
I've got Vicky Allison from Skip here. Skip's an organisation that sort of teaches parents techniques to look after children or not smack them. I mean, if you've got a really naughty child that tries to run straight on the road, sometimes isn't a little smack just the way to teach them?
I don't think so. A really naughty child, I wonder what that is. In your house, it might be different to what it is in someone else's house.
Not like that in my house, thankfully. What would you do, though? Say if a little 3-year-old ran straight out onto the road numerous times, wasn't getting, the lessons that you were teaching them.
I don't think that smacking is going to teach them anything. Yep. Talking, listening, bit of love and warmth, bit of guidance and understanding, limits and boundaries, consistency and consequences, structure and security. The key to managing difficult behaviour.
So tips would be like a specific tip if there was a 3-year-old running onto the road lots and lots and lots and defying you?
Yeah, holding his hand, getting down to his eye level, watching, saying, what are we looking for? We're looking for cars, looking to keep safe. Talking, just like we would do with another adult. Treating kids with some mana.
Thank you very much.
Well, cool. Round of applause. Good to have you on the show. Now, Derek, that's the voice of reason. That's the modern way.
Let me say two things. There is a difference between discipline and abuse. And what we're having here is a debate about abuse. And no one's going to argue with that. No one's going to say we don't want our children to be abused. But what this legislation is doing and what we're hearing described across here is the mix between abuse and discipline. And there is a distinct difference. The second point is that this is how out of touch our politicians are with the real world. And what's going on.
Right.
You just said 64% of the people out there in our country didn't want this to occur.
But there's no appetite for it, Derek. There's no... those days are gone.
That's a fact.
Surely.
That's a fact.
Well, it's one last comment. I've knocked on or phoned over 1,000 doors in phone calls this year in support of Ginny Anderson, and not one person has raised this issue with me on the doorstep. Not one on the phone or on the doorstep. Not one. It's not an issue out there.
I can tell you what right now, though, Trevor, I can tell you what, folks, there'll be a lot of people watching this around the country tonight saying, I was hit and it never did me any harm.
Because it was done out of love and it was done out of discipline.
Oh. Were you hit as a kid?
This is the problem.
Were you hit?
Absolutely. Yeah.
But it was a cultural norm. And
discipline.
this is one of the things for me about the whole debate is I understand a lot of people reacted because they felt that they were being judged. Because this was our cultural norm, was to physically smack our kids. That was our norm. It's not about judging, it's about moving forward.
I want to go to the audience on this, Charlotte.
Yes. I've got, I'm just jumping in here. Are you pro-smacking?
I believe, like the guy with the blue tie said, New Zealand First said that exactly. There's a big difference to what the panel are talking about. If children are given a disciplinary smack for running onto a road, that's a lot different from putting them into a dryer. And children are still dying in New Zealand. That's not right by any means.
Oh, it is.
Are you smacking, pro-smacking?
No.
No pro-smacking?
Anti.
Anti-smacking. Oh, I'm being yelled out. I hear you're a first-time backbencher, actually. You're the first-time backbencher.
Hey.
Wow.
So tell me, just quickly, are you pro-smacking?
Absolutely not. As a practitioner in the field in early childhood, it has given us so much oomph to be able to actually support parents and how they parent. And that's why the reporting rates have gone up, because teachers are now able to say when they feel there is a need for support for a family.
It's fantastic to have you here. Thanks for coming along.
Hey, welcome to the show.